Greetings everyone and welcome back to the bench. Today I'm going to do a two-part video. The first part of the video are going to be my free to download audio test files. I mentioned them a couple of years ago, but I've added some new files to it and gained a lot of new subscribers and viewers. So I want to make sure that people understand that those files are available, free to download, and I'll point you at the computer here momentarily and I'll show you all the files. I'll go through each one and discuss what it does. And we're going to have a Snickers get in the way. Ah, good. He jumped out of the way. The second part of the video, I'm going to talk about what's going on with me and upcoming projects and videos. So if you want to stick around after this and take a look at that, you are certainly welcome to do so. Okay, so on to the audio test files. They're all uncompressed WAV files, so they're high quality. They were digitally synthesized, so there was no conversion going on there. I did have one person make a comment in my video about digital being stair-steppy. Like if I zoom in here on the oscilloscope screen, you can see that, well, the file does have little steps to it. You know, it's not perfect, it's little stair steps. That has nothing to do with the actual WAV file. That's just the resolution of my scope screen here. You know, this is like 320 by 240 or something like that on my old oscilloscope, and it doesn't have a lot of resolution, so that's why you see the stair-stepping look to the files when you look at it close. Well, I mean the waveform when you look at it close. I'm not going to get into it in this video, but if you understand the Nyquist-Shannon theorem, you understand that an analog waveform can be perfectly represented with a proper bit rate, which, for example, for the audio spectrum, the 44.1 kilohertz is plenty adequate for that. Okay, so here are the files. I'll put a link down in the description. The first set of files here, you see, shows a 1 kilohertz fundamental with a certain percentage of a reference signal. And if you watch my channel, you know I use this one a lot, where it has the 1 kilohertz fundamental and a reference signal that is 1% of that fundamental. The reason I do that is mostly visual representation. It's very easy to see that on the screen. I can use that 1% reference, or as I sometimes call it, pilot signal, to compare with the distortion the amplifier might have. In other words, if the amplifier has harmonic distortions, it'll have little blips that show up on the spectrum analyzer mode of the oscilloscope at multiples of this frequency. So if the fundamental is at 1 kilohertz, you might see harmonic nodes at 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on kilohertz. It'll be some multiples of that signal. So that the reference signal does not cover up any of those harmonics, I made the reference signal at 4.5 kilohertz, so it's non-harmonically related and it won't interfere with those signals. So like I said, it's just a nice visual representation I can use in the videos where I can see the amplitude of my 1% and compare it to the harmonic nodes that could be larger or smaller, and I can have some idea of the distortion level, since I can't really measure it easily on the oscilloscope, or at least on that oscilloscope that I'm using. I also have additional files. I have a 1 kilohertz signal with no reference. This one here has 0.5%, 0.3, 0.2, and 0.1%. So those might come in handy. See what else I have here. I have some intermodulation distortion test files. This has a 7 and 8 kilohertz tone, and if you're familiar with intermodulation, you can look at the sum and difference of those two signals and see if there's nodes there indicating the amplifier has intermodulation distortion issues. I also have a 19 and 20 kilohertz tone, a 60 and 7K tone, where the 7K, if I remember correctly, it's like 1/4 amplitude of the 60 hertz signal. And that's part of a standardized intermodulation distortion test. I also have a fixed and swept tone intermodulation test where one frequency is set, the other one sweeps across the band or a small part of the band, and you can see intermodulation nodes move around as the signal plays. I have a couple frequency sweeps. I have a 10 to 100 hertz and a 20 to 20 kilohertz sweep. That's just for testing frequency response. Channel test, that's the one where I call out the left, right, front, and back. Front being the two left and rights mixed together, and the back being the left and rights mixed together but out of phase. So you can test your stereo and even surround sound type systems with that. The next set of files are noise test files. I have white noise, pink noise, and Brownian noise. White noise is spectrally flat across the frequency response, or pink noise is kind of tilted like this. So as the frequency goes lower, the amplitude is higher, and the brown noise is even steeper. This noise file here is from 15K to 22K, so I've taken white noise and then run it through a high order filter to give steep edges, so it really only plays noise in this range. Last but not least is a bass wave. That's just an undulating tone. It goes from 25 to 50 hertz and then back down again. It continuously waves up and down. I'll actually put this in the video here, but for a high quality copy I would download the WAV file. Great for testing subwoofers. Another thing I would like to mention is do not play these files. Don't just click them and open them without turning your volume down first, because they are recorded at pretty high level and you'll get quite a shock, and you don't want to hurt your hearing. And with some of these lower frequency sweeps you can hurt your speakers if they're ported, if you have the volume up too loud. So there you go, the audio test files. If you have a device to play them on that's pretty low distortion, they make a very valuable arsenal of files for testing amplifiers with. What you need in here? He wants me to start the wash machine so he can see the water fill it up. He likes to watch the water. I did the laundry a couple days ago, so sorry, Snig. Okay, so what's going on with me? What projects are coming up and all that good stuff? Well, as I sit here shooting this, it's April 2020. I'm in the lockdown from the you-know-what, and it certainly has impacted my work. Not getting as much work as usual. Kind of curious, has it impacted your work any, if you do happen to work? I'm somewhat concerned of what's going to happen when all of this is over with, and how's the economy going to respond. I mentioned in the message about my brother. Turns out he has cancer. Been through some doctors and tests and all that, and we know what's going on now. Turns out he has stage 4 lung cancer, and that doesn't sound very good. Now there's a bunch of different types of cancer, but from what I understand there's two main types of lung cancer. There's the small cell type that people who smoke a lot get, and there's the non-small cell type. I guess you just get if you're unlucky. Fortunately, he has the non-small cell type. The small cell type that you get when you smoke is very aggressive. But the problem is, both of them can metastasize, which means they can spread to different parts of your body. And his spread to one of the lower bones in his leg right at the knee. I forget, tibia or whatever it's called. And they found all of this out because he was going in to get a knee replacement. They were doing the test and they found that cancer there. So they did a bunch of tests, and luckily they didn't find the cancer anywhere else. We thought he might have it in his larynx because it affected his voice, but that turns out it has to do with a nerve or something with the lung cancer. So there's no cancer there in his larynx. So beginning next week, he's going to have the cancer in his leg irradiated. The good thing with that is because it's his leg, the radiation's not around any critical organs, so I guess that's a good thing. He did have his knee replacement surgery already, so he's recovering from that. Apparently they have a new drug out that can treat the lung cancer just by taking medication. The bad thing is, from what I heard, you have to get this treatment every 6 weeks, I believe he said, and it's like $9,000. Medicaid or Medicare, I forget which one, does not cover this. We're trying to do what we can to see if we can get these treatments covered because, every 6 weeks for a couple years, that comes out to around $160,000. And yeah, it's a lot of money. So that's the major things going on in my life right now. What about some of the projects I have planned? Well, I know I've said it before, but the JAT 501 amplifier, I would like to get boards made for this. I did look at Easy EDA, and I played with it a little bit, but I'm not so sure it's what I want to use. It seems like it wants to have a schematic to work from, where I'd rather lay the board out myself. So I'm not sure if it has that capability to let you do that. But yeah, this amplifier, if you followed the series, it went through all the tests and the modifications, and it's a really nice amplifier. I want to get this out there. It's just, like I say, I got to learn some sort of layout software and get that done. And next is the JAT Easy Amp, which is a much simpler amplifier. And it's been a while, I know, but if you remember, I didn't like the Darlington output transistors, so I pretty much grafted on the output from the 501 amp into this one using discrete components. And I want to get that wrapped up at some point. But yeah, that is what I want to do with those amplifier projects. I did get a lot of responses back about building your own acrylic project boxes and cases. So yeah, I'll put together something on that. At some point in the future, I'd like to do a Class A headphone amplifier. And a really decent one too, not a real overly simplified one. I also have a couple chip amps done right videos I want to do. I've done a couple of those in the past, like the LM386 done right. But I won't give them away just yet, but I have a few more I want to do. Also, I would like to pepper some other types of videos in, like I have an LED bulb teardown, maybe some other, not necessarily audio related projects, but this is sort of an electronics channel and I want to pepper those in just to have more content. I know that some people don't like that. One guy in the comment section is very rude about it and will be added to the block list, but if you don't like the stuff, don't watch it. And I just found this chip all bent up on my bench. What is it? Oh my, an NE5532. Oh boy. They're not worth much, but they're nice little op amps. And hey, I know I don't say it that often, but I really do appreciate the support. I appreciate especially the Patreon support and all the gifts people have sent me. It really means a lot to me. And on that note, I'll wrap up the video. Thanks for watching.